Hello, everyone. Today we're joined with Rahul from South Africa, and we're very, very lucky because he's a divine masculine who claims to be on the twin flame journey in union, and we're going to find out all about the journey. How are you?
I'm well, can't complain, man. And yourself?
I'm good too. Sometimes very, very busy, very, very busy right now.
Yeah, I get
Um,
you.
it's all joyful stuff, all joyful stuff. A lot of like stuff to do with the twin flame stuff and all that. So you live in South Africa. Have you lived there your
Yeah,
whole life?
correct. Yeah, I've been there. I'm actually fourth generation. So
Oh,
yeah,
a long time.
yeah, kind of. Well, actually, it's both of three and four, so I'm in between.
That's
So
still
yeah,
quite a lot because, like, for
yeah,
me, it's my granddad came with my father when he was like a teenager, so I would be the first generation born here. So you from South Africa, you're like many generations.
yeah.
So where does your family originally come from, or
We
originally
are from Gujarat.
in India?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then tell me a little bit about just a brief summary of your background, maybe your childhood, because I just did a post about yesterday mother issues, father issues,
Mm,
and mother issues today, and we were talking earlier, and you seem to think that your life was quite good, right? As a young person, you had a
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
often
So
that's what
it
causes
wasn't.
problems normally.
Yeah, no. So personally, from an emotional standpoint, I never really go through any life-changing trauma per se or anything to that extent. To me, I just went through life and it treated me well, and I don't think I suffered anything like, anything traumatic. And yeah, I've just been blessed from that aspect and I've not been having to deal with, underlining things. And so to me, I was fine. My background was quite decent. Yeah.
So that's really
Or
good to know.
upbringing.
Because some of us on the twin flame journey, like we have very toxic divine masculines who, like especially me, I had a very toxic one who had a lot of
Mm.
issues from childhood, which caused a lot of barriers, right? So for you, the barriers were not there and you had more of a smooth sailing. So let's talk about your journey when you
Well,
met.
actually, there were some issues, but it wasn't like, a train smash. Like, there were like certain arguments and things that were said, well, amongst my parents, and like, like normal fights that parents and kids have amongst each other. But yeah, it wasn't like too hectic, but it wasn't too trivial as well.
So let's talk about your journey. So it's
Yeah,
your twin flame, her name is Adele, right? Or Adele?
Adele.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you met, how it was like, what your journey was like. Was there any
Okay.
running, chasing, separation? Are there any differences in culture, religion, or anything?
Mm. Okay, so first when we met, I posted something on Instagram of my dogs. I have two German Shepherds. And then she commented, and then we just got to start talking on Instagram, and then we got each other's numbers on WhatsApp, and then we started talking about conspiracies, about so many, about fluoride, about drinking water, tap water, and so many other conspiracies, especially from a spiritual standpoint on how we perceive things like astral projection and things like that.
So you were
And we
already
just,
very, very spiritual.
yeah, before we met.
Because usually a lot of divine masculine, very rare to find a spiritual divine masculine, because usually on a twin flame journey, they're very matrix, so they're very logical, they're very
Yeah,
anti-spiritual.
definitely. So that's what I noticed as well. But you see, that's what made us click, Adele and I, because we were both spiritual and we both had the same mindset. Okay, she's a bit more on the religious and spiritual side. I'm not so much the religious side, but yeah, I'm a bit more on the spiritual side compared to her because she is a bit of both. And then yeah, we just started talking like that on WhatsApp, and then we just kicked it off, and then we met. Well, we didn't really meet. Um, okay, we did meet, but I mean like at that time. So yeah, there was a bit of a separation period for like about a couple of months, and then after the union, we got together. But what we learned was if there's an argument or dispute or anything, we would attack it head on, like putting your pride and ego aside and be like, listen, yeah, this is triggering you. Why is it triggering you? But like in the beginning, when I told her, like, listen, you, why are you getting triggered? That even made her more upset. Like I'm saying, hey, like she took offense that like I think she's getting triggered. Meantime, like she really was getting triggered. And then only sometime after did she realize, hey, shit, this guy was actually right. I was getting triggered. Why was I getting triggered? And then after the separation, we did like some personal development or personal growth where we worked on ourselves. Be like, listen, yeah, we can't let our pride and ego get into the way. So in that sense, we put that aside and be like, listen, yeah, it's you and I against the problem, not you and I against each other. So then we always go through arguments or whatever, just like that, um, through that level of thinking. And then yeah, it's just been a journey that we've been experiencing. But yeah, it's been okay. We've been going through it quite
I mean, it's very
decently.
important to work through it no matter what. And that's what twin flames have to get to eventually to that stage where usually the energy is so intense. What makes you and your partner feel like this is a twin flame journey and not a high level soulmate journey or a soulmate journey? Like,
Yeah,
what are the differences for you? Because my
because
followers are very, very like the twin flame police, okay? We're
okay,
very
so
philosophical and theoretical.
so I follow a lot of what Bashar has to say,
Oh, I love
and
the show.
I've noticed you mentioned him in a lot of your videos. And Bashar always explains it like this with the two bouncing back and you building and you triggering each other in a certain way that maximizes your spiritual growth and evolution. So that was what I noticed because there's so many synchronicities. Like I have a mark under my eye with like a blood vessel. She has the same mark. We're born in the same month. We both Aquarius, right? We both have the same birth date, not birth number. So I'm born on the 8th, she's born on the 17th, well, of February. So 8 and 1 and 7 is 8. So that's that. And then also just the mindset and us triggering each other. And then you read so many like websites on explaining what twin flame is. And then also YouTube videos. There's quite a lot of people online that, are quite insightful with the things they're saying. Like, oh shit,
There's
it's
a lot of
actually
rubbish out there, though. There's a
they,
lot of
you're right,
rubbish.
you're
And
right,
there's a lot of
you're
people
right
who
as
want
well.
to pretend to be twin flames as well.
Definitely. But that one of the ladies, I think you had her on a podcast or interview, or not, I think it was more of like a podcast. I forget her name, dude, but
Regina
that's like
Shaman? Are you talking about Regina Shaman or Kat from Sacred Soul? Is she a teacher or
a bit of like a middle-aged lady.
does she teach people? She helps
Yeah,
people?
she makes a lot of videos. I follow on Instagram, but her name, I can't get her name at the moment, but she's really good.
Regina
And
Shaman, probably. The what she's
I
like from Australia.
I think so. I think so. Might be that one.
Badass, yeah.
Yeah. So then I was listening to her videos and like, you just get like pieces of the puzzle from here and there, YouTube videos, what you're reading, and you try and gather the pieces of the puzzle to understand what the picture looks like, right? And then you're like, okay, shit, maybe the picture looks like this. So then that's how I kind of put two and two together and be like, okay, this is like obviously similar, but then obviously naturally we get our doubts. So I think
Because you
so.
get you
For
get
sure.
um you get synchronicities with high level soulmates. Like you can do Shakti Pack with a high
Mm,
level soulmate too. I've certainly done that. With my ex, I thought at one point I was like, "Are we twin flames?" There's a lot of running going here, triggering, but it's like no. But when you meet a twin flame, you know for sure. So in your
yeah.
connection, what did you have any metaphysical things happen, like signs, synchronicities, dreams, the higher
Oh,
self,
okay.
the downloads, the dark night of the soul, the ego deaths, the third energy that's created when twin flames are together, not only when they're intimate, but when they're just together, they're in another dimension of reality. Time stops,
Yeah,
goes fast, goes slow. Talk to us of those really crazy things that doesn't
those
happen.
crazy things. Yeah, no, so they do happen. So she's born. in a snake here, right? So then, and also, you know, Shiva with the snake and the Kundalini, if this they snake related, right? So in that aspect, he had dreams about snakes, and then couple weeks later, I also, well, short period after, I also like had dreams about a snake and like not just one snake, like multiple snakes, like occurring in the dream, which was that was one of the signs, and just what else? Shit, I'm trying to think now. Um,
How do you feel when you're around her, or when you are intimate, or just generally around? Do you feel like you are in a different reality, like a bubble? Time doesn't
yeah,
exist.
correct. 100%. It's like the ones we spent about 3, 4 days together, and it felt like it felt like a flash, just like that.
Yeah.
And that's how it felt for me because like, okay, I'm spending 2, 3 days or 4 days, but it feels like it's not enough. I feel like time does not exist. Like time just stops.
Yeah.
Well, time actually doesn't exist if you if you take Bashar's concept.
Well, it
Everything is
depends on
here
what
now.
reality you're existing. In the 3D, we
Yeah,
do have time, which is how we operate. Yesterday, I
definitely. Yeah.
watched a movie on Netflix called Lucy. I don't know if you have you heard of it, Lucy.
Yeah, I've watched it with the tablet on.
Yeah, so she takes drugs, right? So this basically is
Yeah.
what's her name again? Scarlett Johansson, and she
Yes.
someone puts drugs in her stomach or whatever, and then she becomes a superhuman, but she only lives for a short time. And she says that it's time that is the measure of what is happening in this reality, you know? So I thought that was quite interesting. So
Yeah, now that is quite a cool movie. And it's so interesting because I don't know, Bashar talks about this as well. We always as humans, we always say we're using 10% of our brain. But then that's based on our belief structures. If you believe you're only using 10, then you're using 10. But then in another aspect, you're like, okay, maybe I'm using more than 10, but then to what extent? Like, you know?
that's what he talks about. He says you actually are using all of it at times and sometimes less of it.
Yeah,
Um, So it's very rare to meet a divine masculine who is spiritually evolved. They do exist. It's very rare, where you decide union and we're going to work through it. Very rare because usually they run for the hills and they cannot handle the wounds and the triggering. So
yeah.
you're like a role model here in a sense. But we'll talk more about
Kind.
that. So when did you realize that the connection with this person, Adele, was different to any other people you've met before?
How did I know it was different? Um, hmm. So to a large extent, if you in my past relationships, there was no conversation about ego or this and that. Like, you know, there was nothing spiritually inclined at all. But then we attacked it from like a spiritual perspective, and we're like, okay, I'm getting triggered, you're getting triggered, but why? And then what I normally do in the evenings, there's like a purification process with a meditation. So I sit and envision steam or mist coming out of my back, leaving. So basically, it's the impressions or some scaras or sins, whatever you want to call it, the impressions that accumulated over the years and even past lives. So it's getting rid of that negative karma. So then that's how I go through it. And then how did I realize it was different? It was working on those layers of ego and understanding how we're triggering each other. And we both have this mindset of spiritual evolution where we're bouncing together and we're going up and up and up and ascending the journey to transcend this physical realm because we know everything is Maya, everything's an illusion, right? So in that sense, we try not to get pulled in by 3D things like more materialistic things and focus more on like the spiritual aspect or the non-physical things in life.
When did you meet initially? How long have you been on the journey?
Um, we've known each other for about 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was probably 2023 that we realized that, there's a twin flame thing here, and then the separation happened, and then the union happened shortly after that. But then there's a constant push and pull, that energy push and pull, which is quite
How do you
irritating now.
ground that energy? How do you ground that energy? Because a lot of the DMs struggle, they run for the hills. A lot of them don't even want to talk about anything spiritual. They don't know what ego is. They're very stuck in Maya. They care about sex, drugs, rock and roll. They feel like sex gods. They feel like they are, they're just really have tendencies of narcissism and all sorts. But you are very
Oh,
different. You are very different. And they do exist, people like you, but it's rare. So how did you kind of like,
okay. So let me start off by saying this. If you have a drug problem, right? The first step to getting better is accepting that you have a problem and then having the ability to go to rehab. That's one issue.
mm,
It's the same thing with the twin flame journey. If you have this mindset where you want to get better, you want to evolve, like, then it'll happen. Understanding that it comes from a place of self-improvement opposed to only seeing things from your perspective and not trying to be empathetic and understanding what that person is going through, and then why are they going through that, why, like, understanding it from that perspective to understand that it's literally for your potential spiritual evolution in life,
but to
and it's
accept
the
that.
fastest way.
To accept that though is quite difficult for a lot of for a lot of distorted masculines because they see the mirror reflection, it triggers them, it makes them feel repulsed, it makes them feel revulsed. They haven't dealt with their issues, so they attach it all to the DF and say, "You're the problem, stay away from me, get lost, I'll block you." And that's the general gist of how it plays
Yeah,
out for a while, for a few years.
I think there's a lot of couples out there who like experience similar symptoms of the twin flames, and then they just label it as twin flames, but it's actually sometimes it's not. Because if
Mm.
it is true twin flames and the people are actually spiritual and they want to evolve, then I don't see any reason why it won't work. But you have to match that energy, that frequency. Otherwise, if it's not there, like, some person is there and some person is there, okay, it might be tapping into certain symptoms of twin flames, but then it's not twin flames. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. We'll never know.
Because usually the DM's your polar opposite, right? And you are the polar opposite. So if you have a lot of shadow, so you and your twin probably had less shadows. But if the shadows are there, they just mirror those, right? So I certainly had all the things I'm talking about, and a lot of the followers, they have that too. So when they see a DM who is evolved, straight away it's like he's not a DM, he's not a twin flame. That's their reaction, which is not
Yeah.
true. But my question is, how did you ground that energy? Because when you're with your twin flame, the energy is very, very intense. It's very,
Yeah.
very atomic. So how did you manage to anchor that? Because that's what a lot of DMs struggle with. That's why they come in, go out, they trigger.
You see, the answer to all most problems in the world is love. Is literally it's love. Because once you, like, even Bashar talks about this divine energy of the universe, or all that is, or God, whatever we want to label it as, is literally the frequency of love, authenticity, and especially coming from a place of love. Like, I promise you, if you see it from that angle and understanding that literally everything is God, everything is God. So if you love God, you should be loving everyone. Okay, not to such, I'm not saying go and love everyone romantically. That's not what I'm saying or trying to portray. But I mean, like, everything, even if you pass someone on the street or whatever, that person is a part of God. So in that aspect, you see everything as God, literally every little atom or whatever is God. Then you go through life with a whole nother energy, which is actually low-key a life hack, where you'll be like, you can't be depressed. You can't go through stupid things and trivial, small little problems in life where you, like, you're just grateful, you're showing gratitude, you just on another level, and she matched that level of mine. So that's why we kind of clicked. And how did we ground it? Like, how did I ground that energy? So we do a lot of grounding, literally on the earth and healing, but doing it consciously, not just going and walking. Like, we're trying and doing it to actually ground ourselves, from that aspect. and it's been helping.
I think the gift, like some twin flames have done a lot of work in other lives, so this life it's easier. And I think the gift with yourself is that you had that spiritual aspect because a lot of DMs are not spiritual at all. They are very 3D and logical. So I think it's really good that you are showing us that through that love, through that grounding, you can get forward. So yeah, did you have any dreams about her? Any other sort of like metaphysical things that
Yeah,
made you think, yeah.
I have had dreams about her. So, yeah, I don't know if I should delve into this topic or not. I don't know if she'll be upset with me.
You keep it general. If you think she's going to get upset, then don't go into that, but just keep it general. I had dreams about topics and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to go too much into detail.
Okay. Yeah, so I did have a dream about her. She was like floating in the air, and I was seeing her from like the above, from like how could I say, like a bird's bird's view perspective. And that was one. And there's few other dreams, but nothing major or any. As Bashar says, nothing has built-in meaning. So like it's whatever you want to attach the meaning to, whatever the dream was. Then you'll be like, okay, it's what you focused on. It's the basically the law of attraction, what you attract. So whatever you fixate your mind on is what will transpire. And as Bashar says, there's no built-in meaning. So that's how
So
I view it.
when you were having the dreams and the syncs, were they happening when you were in separation? Were you getting more of these sort of heart
No,
pull?
it wasn't happening through when the separation was happening, but sometimes it did. It wasn't like a whole lot of dreams, but like it was like nicely spread over this long period of time. But there's sometimes where the memories are very vivid of her, and then yeah, but it wasn't like anything hectic or it was just like chilled.
It's interesting because I've had so many dreams, like hundreds, and I write them all down. So in the beginning, when I had my first dream, he said to me, "Take it slow," because my twin flame is not the person I choose to be with. Generally, no, because he was crazy. Anyway, so
Mm,
he was like, "Take it slow," and I was like, "Okay, be patient." And then second dream, he's learning Hindi, Punjabi, English, and all this and that. And then the whole
sure.
journey through the 2.5 years, it was like we were together, and then he was running, and then he was avoiding, and then we came together again. Then we got into a relationship. Then we had marriage. We had kids. We have houses.
Yeah.
Like I have like 2 or 3 dreams a week, which is kind of crazy. But so why did you used to have separations, and what used to bring you back together?
Why did we have separations? I think there was definitely lots of layers of ego that would cause us to clash, and too much of pride from both sides. Not being like putting our ego aside and pride. I mean, like, listen here, let's deal with this. Sometimes it was just like we never reached that level as yet. Those inner wounds or whatever wasn't healed as yet because we had to. I think that separation it's very mandatory. It's very much needed. It's necessary because in that period when you're alone, you understand you kind of on this journey because you don't know fully. Like this topic of twin flames, it's not a study that's very well studied or researched. Like we all trying to figure it out ourselves. Like there's no set path, and to be like, listen, yeah, these are the symptoms. Ah, it's different for each couple, right? So from that aspect, you have to see it from there, but then you have to truly believe that this person is your divine counterpart, masculine, feminine, and then that's how I see it. And then, can you repeat your question again?
I even forgot my question. It was to do with the separations and what used to bring you back
Oh, what
together.
we used to do. Yeah, so I think that's what caused the separation, that layer of ego or unhealed wounds. And then how we got to overcome it was working on those wounds and literally sitting in meditation, doing those purification processes of the steam leaving your back and trying to work on it and be like, listen here, can you show humility? I was watching a podcast with Luke Balmer. I don't know if you know him or watch his videos. But anyways, he was talking about, and not just him. there's I've read books about it and I've watched so many other content and read so many things, and humility is very important. It's one of the traits that most successful people have in the world. All successful people, they have the trait of humility because they're not arrogant and coming from a point of from that perspective, thinking you know everything. Because thinking you know everything, you're quite like silly, you know,
Get
to go
stuck.
through life thinking you know everything. Quite ignorant. So then, from understanding that, you can literally put your pride. Literally, that's what it is. Putting your pride and ego aside. Being, listen here. I don't know everything. I'm listening to what you have to say. Being a good listener is also part of it. And then understanding it from there, like, can you do that? Can you hear or try and put yourself in those other people, in other person's shoes, be empathetic and try and understand it from that point? Because you might not know everything. Maybe they got a piece of the puzzle you might need for your spiritual growth. You never know. Maybe I'm saying something to you that's triggering something in your mind subconsciously, which will actually set you on another trajectory in life,
Mm.
causing you to have a whole nother life. Because you know there's infinite amount of parallel universes and different timelines. So whatever I say, it's literally breaking space-time continuum, if you see
You know,
it from that point.
whilst we've been talking, for some reason in my heart I've been feeling pain, and I don't know whether hopefully we're healing something, but I feel that we do share those sort of like energetic codes and stuff like that. So that's really interesting. So when you were in separation, did you used to always come back to her? Did you feel after you did your like meditations that, oh, I need to go back, or did she initiate it?
It was a bit of both, but I would say she initiated it. Um, and then after that we got talking, and then one thing led to another, and then it just happened organically. It just happened. I don't know what it was, but I've never experienced like this level of if so after the separation, she was the one missing me, and like she always sees like God within me or characteristics of Shiva, whatever. And then for me, it was a bit different. Like I didn't miss her. But then when that separation happened, it was a bit like, you know what, I can't. She just like kept on, some way or another, she found a way to enter my life, which wasn't a bad thing because I realized that, listen, yeah, this person is actually quite significant in my life and I can't just like get rid of her. Like, it's not like I was trying to, but it was like this person is special and there's some sort of connection here, which I haven't felt before with other relations. And I've had other relationships where, it was good, everything was fine, but not to this extent.
But was there something about her technique? Because with Twin Flames, it's energetic, and anytime the DF
Yeah,
tries
yeah.
to reach out, the DM just blocks or says no. So was it maybe your energy readiness, the fact that you were more involved, or was her way of
I
reaching
think
out
so.
very chill? Was
I
she
think
very
so.
relaxed in her
I think
reaching out?
initially she fell in love with my mindset on because we just started talking about conspiracies, our view on things. Like, she understood that, my head is screwed on, right? My beliefs are so much correlated to hers. And then I think most people fall in love with the mindset, the personality first, and then it's the looks and everything afterwards. So,
I would say with Twin Flames, you fall in love with the energy.
yeah,
With my DM, I didn't necessarily fall in love with the personality for sure.
yeah.
Okay, so how did you feel about the intensity of the connection? Did it scare you? Did it excite you? When did you like learn to embrace it fully?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was a bit like touch and go. Like, I was a bit hesitant in a sense. I'm like, okay, so Bashar always talks about like the oversoul and things like that. So it's not really one soul splitting in two. Like there's multiple coming from an oversoul, right? That's how I see it. But then there's obviously the masculine and feminine energies coming from that oversoul that will be there for the growth, obviously, right? That's how I
Yeah.
perceive it.
Yeah,
And then
he says that the twin flames are created specifically to be the highest frequency
yeah,
triggers. Yeah.
yeah. So then that's what I always keep in mind. And then, yeah, from that perspective, wait, can you please, I'm sorry, can you repeat
Yeah,
the
what
question
like
again?
did the intensity of the
The
connection
intensity.
scare you or
Oh,
excite you?
yes. It was a bit overwhelming, and you're like, shit, do I really want this life? I asked myself this multiple times. Do I want to experience this? Do I want to go through this? Or do I want an easy life? Do I want to find my soulmate and just like, live happily ever after? Then I'm like, that doesn't sound like the right option because this twin flame thing, it seems like the best option in terms of spiritual growth and things like that.
Pushes
And
you.
and I do love her. I do
It
love her.
pushes
There
you.
is, yeah, it pushes you to actually get out of your comfort zone because I'm always about self-development and getting out of my comfort zone and pushing the limits. When then when this sort of relation or twin flame journey came about, I was like, we either not in it or we going, and when we're going in it, we're going in it deep. There's no just touch the surface. You need to dive deep and get in there where you're gonna have to have uncomfortable conversations and things said.
And even not
And
going into it seems like not an option because when you
yeah,
avoid them, you get reminded about it constantly and brought back on
exactly, exactly,
it. Okay,
definitely.
right. Did you feel her energy around you? You said that when you were in separation, you really didn't. She was the one initiating. So what does the DM go through in separation? What did you feel in separation?
What did I feel?
Did you
It
feel
was such a
pain,
long time ago. I'm trying to
relief?
figure out.
Some DMs feel relief when they run away. They're like, thank God I don't have to deal with that.
She probably won't like my answer, but that's basically how I felt initially after the first separation. And then yeah, it some way or another she just grew on me, and from there it just went where it's going now. But
So
yeah.
did you have to like surrender and accept?
Yeah, it took a lot of surrendering, and there was a bit of resistance and stuff and doubt and things like that. But then I always told myself, if it's not going to work, it's why is it not going? Is it a layer of your ego? That's basically what it comes down to. I always ask, and we always trigger each other or irritate each other. Not trigger, we more irritate each other now, and it's like part of this fun conversation where, like, if she disagrees with me, or like or if I disagree with her, she'll just be like, "Oh, I'll just be like." It's just a layer of your ego. Sort it out. Sort it out. So we always
It's
go
got
back and
easier
forth.
now. It's got
Yeah.
easier as the years have
Yeah.
gone.
Definitely, because we make it more of like a joke, and it's constantly we working on it. But when you make it a joke and you laugh about it, it takes that seriousness away from the whole matter. So it's not like, I need to, like, this is so frustrating. Like, now we take it as like life is a gift, and gratitude is one of the things that actually helps a lot because it increases your vibration, your frequency. So in that sense, you're vibrating on a higher frequency, and then obviously when that happens there's better outcomes and circumstances that you attract in your life. So that's how we go through it, and it has been helping because imagine you fixating on the negative shitty scenarios, and things are going to manifest because why you literally, like, if you put an EEG machine on your head, those brain waves leaving are literally coming back to you from the universe, and it's in correspondence or in correlation to what energy you're putting out. So what energy you're putting out could be good or bad, or it could be neutral. But that's why it's energy manipulation. It's how you can change your thoughts and ideas and beliefs. Bashar talks about it. Your belief structures is literally everything. It's what you believe in. If you believe what I'm saying is right, then only an idiot wouldn't listen to me and, like, would fixate on the negative. But if you understand, you're like, shit, this is so easy. What he's saying is so true. It's the law of attraction, is the law of whatever, it's law of one. There's so many laws that correlate to this whole idea that whatever you put out is what you get back. Newton's laws, all of that. They all knew and understood that, but to what extent? It's literally brainwaves leaving your head. going into the cosmos. It's on another dimension. So you can't perceive it because the human eye can only perceive 5% of the color spectrum. So those little brain waves that's leaving, we can't see it, we can't perceive it. Maybe other creatures, maybe cats, maybe dogs, because they're in another, the color
The
spectrum is on a
frequency
different.
bandwidth is bigger. Yeah.
Exactly. So then from that perspective, if you can control that, you can literally create and design your own destiny. You're the author of your own life. Literally. But no one has the blueprint, no one has the master key. But what I'm saying is literally the master key. What you fixate on would literally create the reality around you.
Mhm. So you are very rehearsed in spirituality, you're very deep. Do you feel like I don't know if that's your day job or that's your purpose. Are you and your twin flame sharing a purpose together? Do you have a vision of what, like, do you feel like you are meant to do stuff together on Earth?
Yes,
What's
definitely,
what is
definitely.
it?
So I basically wanted to open like a wellness center, educating people on literally like I wanted to also be like I'm on the verge of becoming okay now that yeah I'm on my journey of trying to become a life coach as well.
Hmm.
So that's something we share in that sense, like helping people, like helping people get out of the situation they're in simply through telling them, listen, yeah, this is the situation. This is all you need to do is fixate on the positive and get. And Bashar always says the law of attraction is a half truth. The other part of it is alleviating or getting rid of that idea of fear and doubt in your mind, because that's the killer of success or killer of growth. Because say now you want to start a YouTube channel, you're like, shit, are people gonna judge me? Are people gonna do this? Are people gonna think this about
Well,
me?
some
Like,
may
what
do,
about
some
yeah,
do.
exactly, exactly. Like I think that's been low key a block for me, why I haven't been starting anything per se in that aspect.
I think you
But yeah,
should.
I'm
And
working on it.
recently, like I interviewed someone and she's like psychic, and after the interview, she's like, "Oh," and she told me loads of things about my twin flame, which was similar to her twin flame, and she knew about all the abuse and everything. And then she
Yeah.
said to me, he's gonna become more spiritual than you." And I says, "What? Him? Him? The one who likes to be naked on the internet and loves Matrix World and Gucci Prada?" And she says, "Yes." And then she says, "You're gonna open retreats." And I was like, "What?" And then I had to plant medicine, and it said to me as well, "You're gonna open retreats." So I think like if there is scope in the future, maybe we can work together because I invite
Definitely.
as like we do retreats and stuff because I feel like you know a lot, and I'm assuming your divine feminine is very spiritual too, and she's very
Yeah.
knowledgeable, and that's a
Mm.
gift. That's a real gift.
Yeah, we
So
do help each other a lot in that aspect.
and the fact that you've both embraced the fact that you know what we're here for helping each other ascend, and you know that's the battle, half of the battle out of the way anyway, because you've accepted
Mm.
that this is our ego reacting, and we're gonna not give up. That's like
Yeah,
really for those in union that I know who stay in union, they both decide come hell or rain or shine, whatever happens, we are gonna stick and work this through.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
it. So let's talk about, we talked a lot about blocks and fear and stuff, but do you feel like you and her had core wounds that you both shared? Like anything
Mm.
that was like a theme for you?
Not not so much core wounds, but in our life, this life, we've had experiences that were so alike, like scenarios and things that happen to her, which doesn't happen to people in general. And we've had the same experiences. We were like, what? Same
Like
birthday.
parallel lives? Parallel lives?
Yeah, kind of like that. So same birth number, 8. We both Aquarius, both have the mark under our eye. We both have the same mindset. We both are on this twin flame journey together. And then it was also the synchronicity, or not synchronicities, but the life experiences that were so alike. I was like, nah, this is like too good to be true. This is like literally a female version of me, or a like like her mindset, how she sees, how she makes jokes and things
But
like that.
didn't
I'm
that
like,
freak you? Didn't that freak you out? That this is me, but in another person?
to an extent, it wasn't. It didn't really freak me out because there were also a lot of differences as well. I wasn't just fixating on the similarities. There were a lot of differences as well that separated us in that sense. And yeah, it didn't
The
really fit
analogy
me.
I have, I don't know if you've seen Spider-Man multiverse, right? Multi-universe,
Uh-huh.
whatever it's called, where basically the version of Spider-Man is all a lot of them. So when I met my twin flame the first time, I was like, that is me, but in another body. Because we had telepathy and we were like the same mind and we didn't even need to
Yeah,
talk. Like there was no
sure.
communication necessary. Like, do you have telepathy with your, yeah?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Like sometimes I'll just be thinking of her and her message will pop up. Or vice versa, that will happen. And then sometimes I'll just be thinking of her and then she'll phone or whatever, things like that. And it happens all the time of us seeing like angel numbers and things like that. And it's been like very weird in that sense. We're like, shit. Like when we're talking on WhatsApp or whatever, talking on the video call, I can see, I can read the energy, like something is not right, like something happened which she's not talking about with her family or whatever, right? No, whatever the situation, whether it's studies or whatever the scenario is, I can just feel something is off and like she's not telling me something. And then I'll be like, hey, what's happening? And then, she'll let it out and then we'll basically talk about it. And it goes both ways. It's not just me figuring out her, it's us figuring out each other.
And for me, it was like I'd ask a question and he'd reply the same answer I would reply to other people, but in a logical way, not in the spiritual way. And I just look
Yeah.
at him and he's like giving me my own advice back to me, and I'm like, what? What?
That
Okay,
actually happens a lot with us because
yeah,
sometimes we'll say something and at the same time, I'm not lying, we'll both send a message which is identical. It looks like it was a copy and paste, but it wasn't because the minute you sent it, hers also
he
came
sent
through.
it
We're like, what? And then we both tease each other and we're like, no, you're copying me. And she's like, no, I'm copying her. And like, it's back and forth.
because you're
So there
connected
was
to
there
that
was a lot
one
of that.
divine mind. So I don't know if you want to talk to this because we didn't discuss, but intimacy, is intimacy different with a twin flame compared to a soulmate? How is it for you? For me, for certainly, I talk about it whenever I need to, but like how is it different?
I don't think I've found a soulmate. I've
A
been with
karmic
I've
or
been with
just a regular human being?
right, okay. I get you. Um, it was different because it was coming from more of a place of love that you intimate with this person, not just for all time's sake, is literally because you love this person and this is might be like the mother of your children. So it did hit but different in that aspect. But yeah, it's been okay, it's been good to touch upon that. Yeah, it hasn't been nothing weird. And we can explore, like, get out of our own comfort zone in that aspect. But yeah, it's nothing hectic, but
Okay, because
yeah,
usually
it's been okay.
so for twin flames, the intimacy is always tantric. There's kundalini. There's
Yeah.
a lot of shamanic traveling when you are like for me, my kundalini went up, chakras, out of body, light all over his body, and in the
Mhm.
universe, cosmos, understood the meaning of life, went into past lives, future lives, present lives,
Yeah.
saw his soul, like literally it was, and then for him it was very physical, very like sexual, but because he's his 3D twin, so for him it's very like like not so he's loving but very animalistic. Whereas for me it was
I
completely
get
out
what
of
you're
body
saying.
experience, completely out of body experience. My soul went as soon as I was intimate, every time
Yeah,
out.
so both of us, like her and I, we both have a lot of sexual energy, and we are both healers. Like, okay, so I don't know if you into numerology or whatever, but I'm a life path 11, right? So I'm like natural healer and whatnot, and trying to help people for self-development, self-improvement. So that's me. And they say if you have a lot of sexual energy, you have a lot of healing energy, and it's the same with her. And
Yeah,
we've learned to control it with, well, both of us. For me, it's semen retention. For her, it's just you know, um, not giving into her desire. It's the same thing, right? And using that sexual
and then
energy
taking it
and
up, taking
transmuting
up,
it.
taking
Yeah,
up to your
and
crown chakra.
yeah, right there. And then transmuting that. if you read the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, he literally talks about this. That sexual energy is so potent. You can literally transmute that energy and put it towards something like so good. Like you can put it into your business or your relationship or your YouTube channel, whatever it is, even if it's your own self. Like
Yeah, you
you,
can
even if
manifest
it
with it.
goes, yeah, with the go to the gym or whatever the case is, that sexual energy is so potent and so strong, like so powerful. People don't understand it. And then once you understand that, you'll try and you'll get rid of those sexual desires because you want to because once you go into the path of like business or whatever it is or the self-development journey, once you're in it, like you have to continue in it. There's no sometimes your mind will deviate and you will go back to those old traits, but then you it's not a bad thing. You just have to come back. Like if you're going on a journey, sometimes you'll hit a stop here and there, you'll get a puncture, which is okay. It's whether you continue, you put your tire on, you change the wheel or whatever, and you continue your journey on the path you were on. You can always deviate, but it's whether you come back on your path, which is
So
important.
I'm going to briefly go over this, but I don't think this is the case in your situation because often for a lot of DMs, when they go into separation, they go back to exes, they go off with karmics, they get married to other people, they do all sorts of stuff. And then because they're running, and then they get blasted and they return. But I don't think in your case there
Yeah.
was any other people involved, right?
No, there was no third party, but there was a third party of like someone she used to speak to, like years back, which tried to sabotage everything. And then who was actually he's actually friends with one of my close friends. So he was trying to put like the spanner in the works, and it didn't really work. We had arguments, my divine counterpart and I. There was definitely arguments and things, and yeah, at the end of the day, it just made us stronger. Yeah.
So let's talk about your union now. So how is union for you? Um, what does this partnership mean? You talked about how you experience it and you both work on it, and I love that.
Yeah.
Keeping your growth and your balance. But like, what have people got to look forward to?
What to look forward to? There's a lot, but it depends on your whole belief system and your whole structure, how you perceive life. Each person's is different. So, what you can look forward to is stability, knowing that this person will never leave, giving you peace of mind. And even there's quite a few books that I've read, not spiritual books, but other like self-development books like Napoleon and some other books as well. They talk about as from a masculine perspective. If you have a good woman, like there's no reason for you not to be successful, especially if you have the mindset. If you have a good woman behind you, you can literally achieve anything. It's that stability, that knowing whether you go home, that person is going to be there without a doubt, whether there's a third party of whatever family issue, this issue, this person is never going to leave you. And that gives you a lot of peace of mind. And like you don't have to be worrying about this person cheating, that one doing this, like
And growing
there's
apart,
no.
you
Yeah,
know, growing
yeah,
apart or not, like getting out of love
definitely.
with each other and all that stuff. Yeah.
So that's what helped me, that looking forward to that stability and that unconditional love, which which is always there. But there's always going to be fight. There's always going to be issues. It's how you deal with it. I was just telling someone yesterday how you react is a reflection of you. How I react would be my karma and the reflection of me.
Hmm.
And that's what I told him. And then, yeah, he
What
kind
is
of understood what I was saying.
what is your advice for the divine mask? Because I have a few who like either spy on my channel or speak to me. Some of them have been rude at times. So
Yeah.
they're in their ego. But what is your advice to them who are running, who are resisting, who are in their egos, who are in the matrix, who are not spiritual, don't believe in God, and they're just really in the Maya?
I would I would go back to what Bashar has to say. Act on your highest passion. Act on your highest passion with no insistence or belief, or like don't
Shall we
have an outcome in
shall we
your mind.
shall we reword it to from passion to excitement? Because the DMs might think passion is sleeping around. So act on your highest
Okay,
excitement.
okay. Act on your highest excitement. Yeah. So that's what I would say. And also, it's important just to understand that ego. People think there's a misconception of what ego is. People think if you arrogant or whatever, or you think you're a somebody, that's ego. Yeah, maybe it is. It touches a little bit on it, right? But ego is literally like we are onions. If you see an onion, there's many different layers. We are all literally an onion. It's how many layers of that onion can you be okay with and heal and work on. It's when you get to the center of that onion is when you become nothing, and that nothing is everything. I know that might not make sense to everyone. Nothing is everything, but that nothingness is God, and that everything is God. And that's what we're all trying to achieve, going back to that spiritual realm. And because everything here is an illusion, we're not the body. Everything is just, even our body, this is just flesh. It's part of the earth. It's literally earth, water, fire, air. That's, and obviously the or ether, whatever, the fifth element, if you want to incorporate that. But that's literally what our body is made out of. And when you die, you leave nothing. And we are the soul. We're not the body, we are the soul going through this. But you see, the beauty part about this is when we were born on this earth, we forgot about where we came from. We forgot past lives, which is a beauty part of it because I was actually listening to someone, a spiritual guru who was talking about this. They asked him, like, why can't I remember my past life? Why can't I remember things? Why can't I remember where we came from, the spiritual realm? He said, it's like writing an exam. What's the point writing an exam if you have the memo with you? What's the point? Like, you have to figure out the answers for yourself to
That's
understand
where the
the
fun is,
layers of
right?
ego.
That's where the
Yeah,
fun
that's what the
is.
fun is. And seeing it as like a fun journey instead of like a tedious, shitty thing you have to go through. But it literally comes down to your belief structures. If you believe it's going to be a fun journey and like, it's all good and it's going to be full of love and happiness, then that's what it's going to be. But if it's not, if you fixate on the negative things and you give into alcohol, you give into drugs, you give into sexual pleasures, whatever, then those are all things that lower your frequency, lower your vibration. And then obviously, according to that, you lower your vibration, you attract things to that frequency, literally. And the opposite is true. If you're vibrating on a high frequency, you're not drinking, you're eating clean, you're getting rid of heavy metals in your body, you're getting rid of toxins, you're increasing your energy levels, and then you automatically attract things to that level. It's literally physics. It's metaphysical things people cannot conceptualize, but which is happening in real time. If you fixate on the bad and you don't show gratitude, you're literally attracting those negative circumstances in your life. That's literally what it is. And once you go through life seeing it like that, I promise you, you will never be like depressed, like clinically depressed or anxious. You'll just learn to let go. Everything doesn't matter. Everything is an illusion. That's how I see it. If you go through life like that with love and gratitude and showing love and that everything is God and that you are part of God as well. I promise you the sky is not even the limit. It's like the beginning. And then beyond that is it doesn't go. There's no end to it.
You know, the fun is in the figuring out part. And yesterday I was thinking about, like some DFs, they're like, oh, let's tell the DM and I've done that too. Like, this is what it is and do
Yeah.
this and love yourself. And he's like doing that to me. So I don't want to listen, right? Like a egotistical child. But
Mm,
everyone has to figure it out themselves. And the
yeah,
fun
100%.
is in rejecting things and then understanding things and going through the library of life to understand that's the truth for me. And you can't push anyone to that. So, is there any practices that you think DMs could be doing? Or you said follow the
Yeah.
highest excitement. So, and then just do it without expectation. And that will unlock all the tools of the universe to fully support you. So just keep doing whatever you feel most excited about. and take it to the as far as you can until either that opens up or something else opens up. Or is there anything else as we finish up that you want to give as
Yeah.
yeah,
So if you, I would advise if you like spiritual, you can't just watch couple YouTube videos and like you think you're spiritual, you know how things work. No, you actually need a guru, like a spiritual guru who, I wouldn't say a guru. Actually, I'm saying the wrong word. You need a
a guide?
master of meditation. You need a master. If you want to learn karate, where do you go? You go to a master of karate. You want to learn golf? You go to a golf master. Whatever it is, you'll go to a master of whatever, master of the art. And that's what you need to do with spirituality as well. You can't just go through life nonchalant. You watch a couple spiritual videos and then you know what's cutting. No, you literally need a spiritual master, which is guiding you, helping you, writing books. Like for the listeners out there, I recommend so much just researching heartfulness meditation. Heartfulness meditation. There's an app, there's certain meditation purification process. It's basically Raja Yoga, which works. So you meditate sunrise and sunset. And I promise you, there's books and conspiracies. Maybe we can, not conspiracies, but prophecies in these books that correlate to. I'm not joking, dude. Manny, I'm not joking. Bruh, whatever Bashar is talking about, I've never said this online or whatever, so this is my first time. I've said this to people, but whatever Bashar is saying, and whatever this book of prophecies is saying, it's almost
I did.
identical.
Yeah.
And it's very odd. Because when I went, this book that I have, it's quite pricey. Like when I went to India last year, I saw that book was valued at like 26,000 rupees or something like that, which was like for a book, that's quite expensive.
It's like
It's a,
$260 or something. Yeah.
is it okay? Well, yeah, which
Quite a
is
lot.
quite expensive for a book, right?
Yeah.
For like a regular, it's quite expensive. But yeah, it's a thick book like this with a hardcover and it's golden pages. But yeah, so I would recommend everyone going and just researching heartfulness meditation.
So you said get a master, right? So twin flames are masters, especially once they've ascended and they are in union. But even the distorted twin, the masculine, when they are most distorted, they are your guru. They are your teacher because they are showing you all of your shadows. And some people have more shadows than others. Some people are taking bigger shadows to heal for humanity. So the
Yeah,
distortions are bigger and they go through more. So the ultimate guru, firstly, is obviously your twin flame as well, and you. But when you're struggling on the journey, I agree with what you're saying because there's a lot of divine feminines who message me for free, wanting help and support, which is fine. We give
yeah,
as much as we can, but it's limited, right? But then they have no money to get a teacher, a guru, or like they don't have that investment to be able to. And then on the other side, you've got these other coaches that are charging hundreds of dollars for just
you
one
see,
session.
one thing I can say, if there's
I've
a
had a
guru
client
and
who
he's
had to
spiritual,
sell their house to a
yeah,
twin flame coach in order to be able to get some work from them done, you know. It's a lot.
yeah. I always believe if you have to pay for a guru, that's not actually a guru because spiritual work, this is God's work. But it's like Bashar, he's not charging people for to watch his. Okay, maybe he might be charging for seminars and stuff like that,
But the
but that's
seminars
only fair, right? But I'm saying
and
like a
for
real
coaching
spiritual,
would
yeah,
do.
for coaching, yeah, that's fine. But I mean, like if a spiritual master is there, like you can go and meet him and whatever, but he's not gonna go and charge you. He wants his goal in life is for everyone's spiritual journey or evolution to advance to the next stage.
Well, there's two
And he
types,
talks
isn't
about
there?
yeah.
There's those who are living in ashrams or in the jungles and who have given away all physical monetary aspects
Mm,
and they rely on
yeah,
donations to make the temple or the ashram and you can get free support.
yeah,
But you have to go there and you have to stay there and they're not going to do no Zoom calls with you. They're not going to
yeah,
do online stuff because that costs
yeah,
money. But then you've got the other teachers or masters who live in the household alive, who have to pay bills and a lot of spiritual people have this disgust with materialism, which your divine masculine often shows you because they're very usually very materialistic and matrix driven, that you have to combine
yeah,
materialism materialism and spiritualism as one, and money is not evil. You know,
Mm.
it's not a bad
Yeah,
thing.
I don't think money is the root of all evil. I see it as a
It's people who use it who turn it into something
tool for
worse.
whatever.
But it's been a lovely conversation. I'm hoping next
Mm.
time we get to speak with your
It has
female
been.
and
Definitely.
then yeah, her
Yeah,
side of
definitely.
it.
I'll let her know. I'll let her know.
Well,
I
what
hope
I'm
she's not
hearing,
upset with me with any of the answers I gave.
you know what? People are going
Because
to be
what
upset
she, yeah,
whether they like it or not. People are going to be upset. People are going to say this is not a twin flame, it's a high level soulmate. He's too spiritual. He's this, he's that. Manny, they say
yeah,
to me all the time, Manny, you were feeding him the answers. You were giving him so much. You were saying the answers, and he was. They will say all that. They will say it. And what can we do? And you know
yeah,
what? I can't say. You could be a high level soulmate. You could be a twin flame. You could be a DM that's very evolved. I have no idea.
mm,
At the end of the day, you know what goes on between you two when you are together.
yeah,
And that's not for me to judge or say. People will judge and they'll say, because some of us have had very bad, tragic journeys, and some people have not, because maybe their karma was
mm,
less, or maybe some twin flames choose to have big, like me and my twin flame have chosen to have a global purpose. So we took on lots of global themes, which are very painful. And if we
yeah,
didn't go
yeah,
through those shadows, we wouldn't be able to help people on a grander scale. It would be like, everything's lovely, and that just we had to see suffering and feel it, experience suffering to another level. Some people don't do that. I have
mm,
a cousin who's a divine feminine, and her journey's a little bit easier. You know, everyone's different. That's okay.
yeah. I like to see it as it's the same destination, but a different path, different journey.
Thank you so much. I gotta run, but thank you, Rahul from South
Ah,
Africa.
thank you. Righto. Enjoy your rest